Hi, my name's Tony Sharples and welcome back to Old Dog New Tricks. In this episode we're going to talk about my top 7 tips for selling on Amazon. So let's imagine this. You've decided to start selling on Amazon or perhaps eBay, and you've already read up on all of the fees and charges that you need to know about. And you have an idea of what sort of product margin you need to achieve to make all of your work worthwhile. So now you're ready to start thinking about what sort of product to sell. But first, before we start on the specifics, I wanted to talk a bit about, from a macro perspective, a couple of the things that you need to be thinking about when you're approaching selling online. First, don't pick a product just based on a hunch. I mean, that's a little bit like picking a horse in a horse race based on the colours that the jockey's wearing or what the horse's name sounds like. You really need to do research online first to see what's really selling out there already and for how much it's selling. And a second thing to think about as a beginner, which is not essential but it's important, is that you try and pick products in an area where you actually have an interest in that product or you have some previous experience with that product category, maybe in the work that you've done in the past, or it may be related to a hobby that you have. Your familiarity with the product category will let you make much better decisions on things like photos, the text you use to describe the product, and the prices you're looking at charging. You really don't want to be selling Bluetooth headphones if the thought of turning on your computer in the morning scares you. So let's start with the top 7 things that you should be thinking about as a beginner when you start to think about online selling. The first product selection tip is to try and pick a product that's really simple. Don't buy something that's really complicated or has features that are really complex and involves complex technology. I mean, for example, don't sell drones. They're complex, there's lots of technology, they break, you'll get headaches and you'll get returns. It's not a great thing to do as a first product into the marketplace. You want something simple, like poolside polycarbonate wine glasses or a yoga mat. And don't go exotic, as that will really limit your sales potential and could even lead to import issues in some countries. The next tip from experienced sellers is try to keep your price range between $20 and $70. This means that the most number of people that are looking for products online can afford it, as it's a fairly impulse-based decision at that pricing level. Equally, for a beginner, if you sell something really cheap, then you'll have to sell a ton of them to make money. And that's a lot of extra work, particularly when you're starting out and you've got so much to think about. So don't do that. Next, pick something that's size friendly, not too big. Something that will easily fit into a packing box. If a product's just 1 centimetre bigger than a standard box for Amazon, you'll have to go up a box size, which will increase your shipping costs a lot. And apart from size, make sure you're looking at products that are weight friendly as well. Tip number 4 is don't start by selling branded products. Start with a generic, unbranded one. If you sell something that's got a brand on it, say for example Samsung, then it'll just turn your product offering into a commodity, and people will only really be price shopping you. So for example, if you're selling a branded electric toothbrush, then try and bundle it together with some extra replacement heads so that the product you're selling is just a little bit different to everything else out there. Just so people can't be comparing apples and apples. And the number 5 tip for beginners is that it has to be lightweight to minimize shipping costs. You don't want to be selling bricks. And as I said in an earlier episode, be careful if you have to convert metric grams into the pounds and ounces that are used by Amazon in the USA. My next tip is the simple demand test. Are people actually buying that type of product? So there's really no excuse for not researching similar products and similar categories. And finally, number 7, the competition test. You want to go online and see what the quality of similar products are like and what the buyer reviews of them are like. When you're starting out, if you're going up against a similar product that already has 1,000 reviews, you will most likely lose to that product. It's just a safer bet for buyers, even if they don't go and read those reviews. So look for products with 10 to 20 reviews, because that means you'll be able to catch up with them more quickly, and reviews are really critical to your long-term success as a seller. The important thing with product selection is that you have to think like a marketer as much as you need to think like a seller. You need to focus on what they call reducing friction for the sale, and that means you need to make it absolutely as easy as possible for the buyer to actually buy your product. So that's my top 7 for beginners. And you can start to break these rules later on, but only after you build your experience. In the early days, it's all about not getting your fingers burnt. So I hope that helps. My next episode will talk about selling specifically in Australia. And after that, there'll be an episode on flipping or the resale market, which is another great way to get into online selling. Now, I'll be posting more information in the weeks ahead, so don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel or my podcasts so you can keep up to date. I'll see you next time.